Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is a podcast where a husband and wife team go over all the storytelling, world building, and characters of video games because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 129.
Thank you so much for joining us for the last recording of the year.
And
the last release of the year then as well.
And I think the first one where we're actually sick, like both of us. Or coming off of a cold.
We're coming off of a cold. Yeah. Yeah, that cold.
So you may hear in our voices a little bit.
Yeah. So, if Mystic makes me laugh, it's not going to sound great. So he's going to do his best to not have, like, this hag laugh in your ear through the episode. But before we get to me possibly hag laughing.
Before we get to the hag laughing or the episode in proper, if you'd like to contact us, you can do that in multiple different ways. Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Reddit, YouTube, and Steam, all in the descriptions below. If you'd like to contact us via email, you can do that at loretogether@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast, and we hope you do, you can do that in two different ways. First is giving us a good review wherever you're listening, or an honest review. You know, we want that feedback too.
Sure.
The other way is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, exclusive access to some of my Let's Plays, the ability to vote for other public Let's Plays, like our current Mass Effect 2 Let's Play.
Or the Sims 4 Let's Play.
Or the Sims 4 Let's Play that Safi is doing. As well as, at some point, an audiobook read of Primal Rage by Safi.
Primal Rage, the Avatars.
Yes.
I might... I gotta remember
the impossible to find lost novel that was the basis for the impossible to find lost sequel to an obscure 90s fighting game.
Oh man, and if I can ever confirm we could play it at Galloping Ghosts. Well, we technically have the emulator of that too. Yeah. But still, it'd be cool to play it in the arcade. It was in the way it was meant to. Support would be great. And we appreciate those of you who have already supported us all these years. And we just love connecting with you people. So thanks so much for listening to this little show of a husband and wife team who just can't stop nerding out. We just can't. So
I was looking through our episode history, and we started in 2020 trying to do the end episode of the year being holiday themed, or at least lighthearted, which we had the holidays of Tamriel, then we had the Underground Empire of Zork.
Yes,
which is still one of Safi's least favorite lores we've ever covered.
I don't look, it's just not for me.
And then we went not lighthearted and not holiday themed. So it's time to go back to that, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So with the holiday season upon us, and most of you will be hearing this after most of the holidays are done, I want to take a peek at some of the winter holiday events in games and do a more rundown, not deep dive on them. Just kind of, let's feel good, you know?
Yeah, relaxing.
So, yeah, we're not going to get too deep in the lore weeds on most of these, but I am going to start with where we left off the last episode with Guild Wars, so some weeds may still appear.
Okay. Some weeds? No weed killer here?
No lore weed killer here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Winter's Day has been a recurring holiday for the citizens of Tyria since all the way back in 2005 in Guild Wars 1. I don't actually know when it started in Universe, but that makes sense because it's this weird... We'll get to what it is. It is celebrated in Tyria and in Alona, but not in Cantha.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Yeah. Towns decorate and special events are held, including a snowball fight of the gods, in which is a giant PvP game where teams of players compete in a snowball fight for the favors of the gods, specifically Grenth and Dwayna.
So basically you're just behind a snowbank going, "Witness me," hurling snowballs as fast as possible to your opponents?
No, it's not like that. It's a large map that you have to kind of rove around in and stuff. I have not played it, but it is a large map.
Is it PvP or is there?
It's PvP.
Okay, so everybody is.
It's team-based PvP.
Oh, it's team-based PvP. Okay.
Each one, Grenth and Dwayna, wishes to claim the season and with it the coming year. Should Dwayna be victorious, the year will begin with warmth and light. But should Grenth emerge the victor, a darkening chill will shroud the mounts to come. It's basically Tyrion Groundhog Day.
But with snowballs. Okay.
I mean, it's not just snowballs. That's one of the events. There's a lot of events you can do to
boost one way or another.
Boost one or the other, yeah.
So the people who operate Guild Wars 2 then, do they really...
This is Guild Wars 1.
Guild Wars 1?
Yeah.
So do they really take into account, like, how much activity there was?
Not, as far as I'm aware, not particularly. It's not like, it doesn't change events for the following, especially now after the game is... It's not in maintenance mode. I mean, right. It is in maintenance mode. There's not been any massive updates, but it's still a living community. It's just a very small living community. There's not like an active development team on it. It's just two guys who are like patching stuff when they're made aware of it.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
Remember, though, Grenth is not evil. Like, this isn't good versus evil. His followers believe that the end of the year is a somber season, one of remembrance for those who have passed in the past year. That said... During one quest, Grenth literally says, I hate all this merrymaking, and has his followers destroy decorations from Dwayna with minions that are called Grench.
Boo. So on the nose. Boo.
And they look a little bit on the nose, too. They're like goblinoids guy. Yeah. There are other events, of course, like making the greatest snowman ever made, which is literally the quest title. You help a bunch of kids make a snowman.
Cute.
Convincing 3 Norn to join the human festival of Winter's Day by bringing them gifts.
Wait, they don't want to... Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I don't understand the logic of
that.
The
quest is called 3 Wise Norn, and this also requires Eye of the North. Which is when the Norn were first introduced. And another quest where you rescue a bunch of reindeer for Grandfather Kringle, whose reindeer, a gift for Dwayna, has been kidnapped by Grenches.
Okay.
You can also find all sorts of holiday-themed items, clothing, weapons, including candy cane weapons. This is not an exclusive idea to Guild Wars in any way, shape, or form. No. It is probably the most common thread of all of holiday themes.
Candy canes?
No, just in general, like, yeah, there's not much going on lore-wise, but you will find weapons and items and stuff. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
Guild Wars 2 continued the holiday, though it's a bit different. The annual event was held in Lion's Arch until it was destroyed by Scarlet Briar.
Damn it, Scarlet, you ruin everything.
And has been held in Divinity's Reach, the human capital, ever since, which is appropriate as the humans are the most invested in the holiday. Mm-hmm. Since the first Winter's Day in Guild Wars 2, the event has involved the toy maker Tix, an Asuran who has a giant golem-shaped airship that is also a toy factory.
I think I remember this from years ago. Yes. Yeah.
He also has a toy golem with him named Tox. So Tix and Tox.
Oh, okay.
The holiday features a dungeon aboard the airship to help Tix make toys. Where there's a seasonal jumping puzzle. There's choir bells as well as choir bell competitions. And, of course, snowball fights.
Okay, yeah.
The holidays have often reflected current events in the game as well, such as Ho-Ho-Tron, a robot who goes by many names and appears weirdly often in the main story of Guild Wars.
Ho-Ho-Tron?
Yeah, Ho-Ho-Tron also goes under, I forget all the names, but there's 7 different names this robot goes under. In this one, he's called Ho-Ho-Tron. He's wearing a Santa hat and has garland around him.
Oh my gosh, okay.
But he is gathering donations for the victims of attacks on Divinity's Reach and Lion's Arch when those were both attacked, respectively, by Scarlet Briar.
Okay, fair.
In that same vein of charity for those in need, Korean MMO Black Desert has a regular holiday event where if players meet goals, they will donate 100 million won to charity, specifically Doctors Without Borders.
Nice. That's a very good one.
Yeah, the money players have raised went to getting 85,000 people malaria vaccinations in 2019.
Yay!
Providing Plumpy Nut, which is a treatment for severe malnutrition to 2,200 kids in 2020.
Nice.
Paid the salary for 45 frontline workers and emergency responders in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And so, yeah, that money goes to do a lot of good. For the record, this is not the only game to do charity stuff. Many do. Guild Wars has one as well. It's just not holiday themed, and it's usually tied to players make donations via buying things with real in-game currency or real game, like the premium currency, and then a percentage goes to the charity as well as any direct donations are matched by the company. So there is some good happening, but it's not like this where
Black Desert's like, if you do certain things, we're going to keep donating. So it's requiring more of the player's time and investment rather than like monetary investment. It's more just like do the Skinner box. There you go.
Back to the game itself. This year, 2024, there's a special tree you're trying to decorate in the town of Heigl by buying shiny tree decorations from Lara in Heigl and bringing it to Roig Mills, also in Heigl, like literally 20 feet away. That said, the item costs 100,000 silver, which is the in-game currency, not a premium currency.
Yeah.
And while they do acquire 2 million shiny tree decorations from the PC game and 1 million from the mobile version, they have never failed to meet this goal. This goal does change. It's been different versions, different things, different quests. One of the years it was sweaters.
Well, I think if I was somebody who played this regularly and I was like, oh, I can actually contribute something good to the real world by doing things I already have fun doing.
Yeah.
Why not organize with some of your friends and just do it?
Now, I did have some difficulty finding any lore for anything in the game about this. I have Black Desert.
Oh.
I have yet to play it beyond the first tutorial quest and a little bit past that. So I went to the fan wikis and the official wiki. The entry on the fan wiki for Lara mentions that she is a war orphan and lives at the orphanage, but despite her tough early childhood, she is naturally kind and cheerful. End of entry.
Wow.
The official site, wiki, doesn't have character pages at all.
Wow.
One of the fan wikis for Roig Mills, the other NPC in this quest, has him listed as an item and with nothing else in there.
Talk about being objectified. Ouch.
Yeah, which is clearly wrong. He is a butler to one of the most important NPCs in the early game, at least as far as I can tell, Lady Jarrett. She is like one of the people running the town.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he is also one of the first NPCs you meet in the game when you start off. And there is no wiki entry for him. I was mind blown. There's nothing on this quest either. It's just a press release, and the press release included the walkthrough for how to do it.
Oh my god.
So
oh man.
The wikis are just not fleshed out, especially compared to Guild Wars and Elder Scrolls. Now, I could use that to segue into Elder Scrolls, but we already covered that back in episode 25, back in December 2020, so go listen to that one.
Yes, please do. It's still a good episode. Still learned a lot about their holidays.
World of Warcraft, a game we will probably never cover because we don't do monthly fees. Unless that's changed too. I haven't looked into that. But they have the Feast of Winter Veil. Now, the term Winter Veil is said to stem from the supernatural being offered to refer to in many cultures as Grandfather Winter, who is sometimes pictured as an orc or a dwarf.
Okay.
As he would walk the land in the late seasons, winter itself would be his billowing cloak. In his wake was the blanketing of land in snow. And thus it is said that Grandfather Winter would cast his wintry veil over the land. As Grandfather Winter walked Azeroth, it is said that he would provide a bounty for those who welcomed his presence, which means gifts and presents in cities and towns all decorated. Holiday quests make another appearance, distributing gifts, snowball fights, snowmen wander the world, and again we have a quest where you can rescue reindeer.
Ooh, rescuing reindeer, that's fun.
Yeah. Obviously, there was a lot of commonality between games and holiday stuff.
Yeah. You know, there's a common holiday that's celebrated by a lot of the West.
Yeah.
That just, it's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that Christmas infusion can feel off in the tone of the universe, like in Star Trek Online.
They bring Christmas to Star Trek Online?
Guild Wars and Warcraft and Elder Scrolls and Final Fantasy and Black Desert all have holiday stuff, and the fantasy themes work. Like, it makes some sense. It kind of all connects. Star Trek, it feels a little contrived.
Well, because winter is very much based on one planet's rotation around.
So how do you think they would do this? You know your Trek. How would they make it so that there was a central location that would be holiday themed?
Is it the main bar?
No. There is a seasonal event where Q, and I'm going to give everyone Trek stuff here. Q, an omnipotent being who is famous for being best frenemies with Jean-Luc Picard, has Q's Winter Wonderland.
So he just takes over everything and makes it wintry?
No, it's like a location you have to go to. Q has set up a bunch of stuff for fun, including snowball fights, but also has a gingerbread army defending a fortress from, I can't believe I read this when I read this, assimilated snowmen. Basically, snowmen who have been turned into cyborgs by a race called the Borg. It's Q. Like, we're both Trekkies here, but it's Q. So if you know your Trek, you know things get wonky with him involved, but it's a weird tone shift even for Q. Then again, we did get Robin Hood Picard thanks to him, so maybe not.
But sir, I am not a merry man.
I'm so glad you worked that in. I couldn't figure out how to work that into the script.
There's the hag laugh. No, it's a brilliant episode. You don't even have to like Star Trek to watch it because it's just so absurd, and you could tell the actors had a great time doing it, and this is like early 90s. It's amazing. But yeah, no, that's super contrived. Now, granted, Q is known for super contrived stuff, and even so, this is the crazy thing about Q. He is one of many that are called the Q, but they don't really take on names because we can't pronounce them in mortal languages.
Meat space.
Yes. So they're all called Q, but this particular Q played by John Delancey, and that's typically
who is not played by John Delancey in this game.
No, well, John Delancey is 30 years removed from when Q first came onto the scene. So,
I know. It's just kind of sad because like there are games where you can play. Like I think Q has like a chess game where John Delancey plays Q. Like
that's possible, but also you get older, your voice sounds different. And
that's
everything true too. But so they also the Q can be super contrived when they're trying to prove points.
That's true.
For example, in Star Trek Voyager, when they had a civil war, and then the way that it was experienced by mortals was looking just like the American Civil War. It was
it's all this strange. Is beyond your comprehension. We have to make this work for 3D mortals.
So they're like, so literally like within a few seconds, they all collectively go together. What's going to make sense for this character? And then you're just like, I would have accepted more Tron-esque aesthetics. Yeah. Like, why are we doing this? Anyway, so the Q were weird like that. So it makes sense. They're like, well, winter's kind of fun. Let's try that.
Yeah. It doesn't bother. Like, it would bother me less if it was just the replicated, like, Santa hats and, like, that makes more sense. Christmas lights on an Enterprise, fine. But
which
it's
is like, absurd and exactly what Q would do, too.
But, like, Q's Winter Wonderland with a logo. It's like, why? Why did we do this?
Well, yeah, like the consumerism is not going to be the aesthetic for Star Trek. Yeah. Like consumerism is dead by the point Star Trek's history rolls around.
Oh, that doesn't stop the crazy amount of currencies they have for that game.
But also because it's a modern game.
I know.
Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. But also,
look, I was hoping in vain that Mist Online was going to have a holiday thing, but there's not enough of a player base to do it.
We also have to remember that the Q get bored really easily because they're immortal. They have been everywhere doing everything. One of the best examples of it was there was this spot that they like hang out at, and there is a Q outside of John Delancey's Q who wishes to die. And when explaining how bored they get, he goes, "We have been every single person that operates or visits this bar. We've gone, we've done this.
Yeah.
We've been the Scarecrow," was the one that got me. I was like, "You're the Scarecrow? What? That's just so sad."
Yeah, so it's basically the long shot is you're so bored because you've experienced everything already.
Like, yeah. So having to do something like this where you mess with other people makes sense. But I would think it'd be less of an invitation to his space and more of a, this is my space now. But that's just me.
Of course, online games all have these types of things often, but offline games and smaller co-op games have features that also hit around the holidays. Mm-hmm. For example, we talked about Sonic Adventure in the past. You've played Sonic Adventure and was not a fan.
No.
But if you played it on Dreamcast, there were special Christmas-themed DLCs.
Ooh.
Station Square would be completely redone with Christmas lights and trees, and those trees would play different Christmas carols when you got near them.
Oh, okay.
Sonic Adventure 2 had a DLC that gave each character a Christmas-themed outfit.
Okay.
In the same vein, another Sonic Team franchise, Knights, also had a holiday thing. By the way, this was one of the first games to ever make use of the real-time clock in consoles because Sega Saturn was the first major console to include a real-time clock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, anyway, special promo demo discs, kids, ask your parents, were released for the Saturn simply known as Christmas Nights, which was a whole demo that would change to different holidays based on the clock.
Oh.
And one of those, well, the main selling point was Christmas themed. It was called Christmas Nights, where we see the two protagonists from the game trying to reclaim the missing Christmas star from the Twin Seed City Tower. It's all a dream, but that's not exactly out of place for the franchise. The franchise is actually called Nights into Dreams, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but that franchise will be covered at some point. Probably not in a full episode because it's
very short. Yeah.
Sometimes the holiday thing can be very simple yet thought-provoking. EA and DICE, World War I first-person shooter Battlefield 1 in 2016 had a free, unique dog tag awarded to players simply for logging in. That dog tag was to commemorate the real-life World War I Christmas truce.
Yes, I think I've heard about, and this happens in a lot of other wars, but I think I've heard about this one specifically.
Yeah, that is a very amazing and very human moment to commemorate. Basically,
yes.
Long story short, the Pope at the time says that we should not be fighting. It's Christmas. We should have a truce. That word gets to the trenches and a lot of them stop fighting. They exchange handshakes. They sing carols.
Together.
They eat together. And then they have to go back to fighting.
And here's the thing that people forget about. So we talk about World War II a lot because it brought Nazis to the forefront of history, and Nazis did some horrible things. But World War I brought to history how gruesome war could be. We're talking about diseases that you wouldn't even believe that men had to suffer. We're talking about chemical warfare. We're talking about isolation, paranoia,
No Man's Land,
the proliferation of machine guns for the first time ever in history.
Yeah.
So it was insane and dehumanizing, and the PTSD I could only imagine that these men had. But for one day, you went to the men that you had essentially, had labeled monsters in your head. And you went across the no man's land in some instances.
Yeah.
Over barbed wire and everything. And you
played soccer.
You played soccer. You made a table to eat at.
Traded drinks, traded candy, had cigars together. Yeah.
And then the next day, you're back at it.
And a lot couldn't do it. A lot of them had a lot of trouble going back, which is fair. Sadly, from this whole thing in Battlefield 1, some players were left wanting more. There was no truce in game. It was just a dog tag. And they were like, we should have, just for a day, just change it so it's like snowballs or something. And yeah, would have been cool in my opinion, but it didn't happen. Players tried to organize something themselves, but it didn't work. Too many people just kept shooting.
And there's too many people on the internet who like to be trolls and ruin other people's fun.
I mean, yes, going back to World of Warcraft, there was literally a funeral for somebody in game for like somebody's guild was holding a funeral and people trolled it. It's like, could you not do that?
I think it's just because it's just too easy of a space for bad actors to go to and be able to mess up things with minimal consequences. Yeah. There's a reason why it happens more in internet space than it does in the real world.
Yeah. So, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Juggernaut of offline real-time living simulation Animal Crossing.
Oh, man.
And its annual Toy Day, usually on December 24th. That's the day when Jingle the Reindeer comes to town in various versions of the game. Because, of course, Animal Crossing has like 12 different games or 13 different games now.
Yes.
Only one of them, I forget which one, Jingle doesn't show up in. Like, there's no... Yeah. But Jingle trades for items and gives toys out. And, yeah. Basically, it's Santa. Some other villages talk about it for days and weeks beforehand. It's a huge deal. And Jingle is dressed up like you'd expect in a Santa suit.
Yeah. In the latest one, New Horizons, Jingle will show up and you have to do some quests and then you can get a picture of him. But also you get a very special set of stockings to hang up. And if you hang it up by a fireplace, you do get something like the next day. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Shops in the game also feature holiday-themed items, but that's par for the course for Animal Crossing.
Yeah. There's always going to be... Can you theme it? Animal Crossing will try to theme it.
Yeah. Similar, though, not tied to the real world, at least in the same way, is Stardew Valley and its Feast of the Winter Star.
Oh, yeah. This one's really fun. Feast of the Winter Star is really fun because you do the Secret Santa. Essentially, their version. It's not really... They don't call it Secret Santa, but it's their version.
Right, but it's the same idea where it's like you are given one random person and one random person is given you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, white elephant or however you want to say it. But one of the crazy things about this from when the game originally came out, there's a big update where I haven't really caught up with all of the changes. But during this feast, there is a special gift that you can get, and it's a tea set. Now, most of the items that you can get that are through this can be like decorative, and therefore they don't do much. So it's just a decorative tea set. Mm-hmm. But you can only get it as a gift from Feast of the Winter Star.
Oh. So
there are people, because it's mainly a PC game and you can totally cheat. They will restart the day and try over and over again until they get the tea set.
Well, that's what people do in Animal Crossing. They will restart the day over and over.
Yes.
At least I think in the older ones, or they'll just turn off their console without saving, stuff like that.
Yes.
On the Switch. But yeah, there are people who will jump forward in time years at a time just to get an item.
So if you're somebody who's like super into the collecting of it all, this kind of like triggers all that thing. It's a special event. It only happens once during the Stardew Valley calendar year. You have to get it from your Secret Santa.
You have 3 chances then, right? During the game then.
No.
It's 3 years for the game, or is it endless?
It's endless.
Why
it's
did
endless.
I think it was...
So the reason you're thinking that is because your story wants you to get it done within 3 years' time to get the quote-unquote perfect farm.
Right, okay.
And that's like a specific goal from the ghost of your grandfather who died due to having a rickety bed. But
a weirdly drawn bed too. Let's be honest about that opening sequence.
How many memes have we had about this bed? But yeah, so that's different. So if you're trying to get to that specific goal where you get to a certain quality of farm or prosperity, then yes, you only have the 3 years. But then after that, everything else, it's endless. You can keep playing, and you essentially become the richest person on, I should say, not on, I was about to say on the island, but that's extended content. You then also can then farm on an island later. So you become the richest person in this town, and then you get to an island.
There's an island in Stardew Valley?
There is an island you could get to that is more... There's a 10-level volcano cave that you can fight through to get special weapons and to upgrade your weapons. There's...
Clearly I have to play more Stardew Valley.
Yeah, we are now totally not talking about Feast of the Winter Star, and we will have to get back to that. But, yes, there is an island, and that's why I said that, because it's got all these, like, special little mini-quests. It's got fossils that you can look up. It's got a new little house and a new little farming area and new trees and flowers and stuff. And, if you hack the game, you can just figure out, like, exactly... what I use that farm for, because you have to decide where you're going to sleep each night. I grow wheat, and then I leave it alone, and I come back, cut the wheat, and then I use that for hay, and that's it.
Did we go so off track? Like, I'm going to cut all this if that's not related to what we're talking about.
Yeah, you might want to cut off like a good chunk of that. That's fine. So, but yeah, so, I'll click here in case you do want to remove most of that. So, yeah, you can go really, really intense about this tea set, or you could be hardcore and say, okay, I'm just going to keep playing until I finally get this tea set. And then of course it's only on the one save, so you could have a save that has the tea set and like 5 saves that never get the tea set because it's randomly generated about when you're going to get this tea set.
This is a lot of work for a tea set that, yes, it's important if you're a collector, but that's not for me. Okay. Anyway,
moving on. I know this is not the reason why Feast of the Winter Star happens. But
no, the reason that Feast of the Winter Star happens, we find out by talking to Willie. We can hear the story, short though it may be. Mm-hmm. In the night sky of winter, there is a bright star only visible from this valley, which makes no sense. No one knows why this is, but in times of old, people would come from far and wide to see it. They believed that anyone who laid eyes on the winter star would be blessed with good fortune. And I think that's probably a good place to end it. Hoping you are all blessed by good fortune as we end 2024.
And feasting with your friends and getting presents from people who actually know who you are, unlike Mystic, who did not get to know any of the people from Stardew Valley.
This is a shorter episode, but there's hundreds of these types of events. Some make more effort and have more spectacle. Fortnite has Mariah Carey in it this year.
Oh my! Fortnite does like epically insane stuff that
Fortnite is
technically is history breaking, and at the same time I'm like, but I don't want to acknowledge that. Like
the new game Astrobot has released a Winter Wonder free DLC. It's just common now. There's so many games that cover holiday stuff, and frankly, I didn't think it was going to go by this fast. So,
yeah, I love it when I see it because I always was a fan. I grew up with Christmas. Always was a fan of Christmas. Always loved, an excuse to give people gifts. So it's always nice when like game producers give us a little gift of like a little Easter egg, a little acknowledgement of like, this is the season. So thank you for those who do that. And thank you, listeners.
Thank you for listening. Again, with all these things, no matter the tonality or the spectacle of these different game events, it is sometimes just nice to be reminded of those human moments during the season.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. We hope you have a great end to your 2024, and we'll catch you guys in 2025.
Definitely.
And hopefully we'll both sound better.
I don't think I mean, you only gave me one hag laugh, so I sound okay. So I think I sound great, Mystic. But anyway, but like you said, we'll see you guys in 2025. Thanks for listening as always.
Bye.
Bye.